Hi, what's up?
Did that go as well as you thought it would?
I don't know what to. What do you? It's impenetrable. Have you ever? Wait. Do you? I know that you generally don't have like you don't do like the debater stuff or whatever. But have you ever do you talk to people like this on your channel or your YouTube? Do you ever like debate people like this? Do you ever get through to them, or do you do this? I guess is the first question.
No, I mean, like only on Twitter Spaces, I'll have occasional conversations with Rob Noor, but like, no, unfortunately, when people are in my replies, like blowing me up, and I give them the same opportunity you do to pop in, most people don't take me up on it for whatever reason. So no, besides like personal experiences with family and friends, and then the spaces that I have with you guys or with Pisco or with Hutch or whatever, yeah, like, so no, a bit of experience like this, but not to the same extent that you do.
What do you? I don't even know what to.
I think the only thing I would say, and I mean, obviously, I think you had a different approach than usual. I think the conversation was just all over the place, and
yeah, I need to. I tried. Yeah, I feel rude doing it, but no, you're right. I need to be like, wait, but it's so aggressive when I do it. Like I'm shutting down. But I need to be like, wait. We have to agree on this one thing because. And I think this is intentional by them. No, I'm so sorry. It's not intentional. I think it's an emotional reaction to discomfort. Is they try to squirm away. Yeah, they try to squirm away so much when they are when they're in an area that I think they're uncomfortable in. And I think that's why the conversation pivots so much. I'm like, wait, well, what about like this thing? Like, well, you can't always know that. And then it just goes somewhere else. But I think that's like an attempt to escape the discomfort of being held down in an area and being like, hey, we need to talk about this fact.
No, because even like the economy, like at one point she was talking about let's get back to the policy, but then when you'd finally indulge her and talk about a particular thing, like she would say wage gains, then she wanted to move to tariffs, and then it was like she wanted to avoid being cornered by you, which I understand. I mean, like if I were in a debate with somebody, I wouldn't want to feel cornered either. But I imagine that's probably why. That's going to be a huge reason why you didn't find this conversation particularly productive.
It's because we didn't just sit down on a single fact and be like, let's look up this 66% number. We need to go and find exactly what you're talking about.
And even if you moved, well, I was going to say, even if you moved off to a different topic within the conversation, you're the sort of person that we want to focus on a particular disagreement and let's explore it at least for a while, linearly, Socratically. And then if eventually I'm like, okay, fine, let's talk about tariffs or whatever, you can at least say you chased her down a particular rabbit hole. Here it was like whack-a-mole. It wasn't even like a rabbit hole. It was just one whack-a-mole after another. And I feel like it was frustrating to hear that.
Yeah, but it felt like when I was hardcore fact checking on some things, she would eventually just say like, oh, like you're like, that's just not true. Like, I don't think I'm not aware of, at least I'm not aware of anybody that said that the Trump tariffs were successful in any size, shape or form.
No. And as a matter of fact, I was trying to, which I understand you had a lot going on, but I was trying to throw shit at you just in case like you wanted to refer to something and not try to fact check her in real time. But I mean, most economic consensus at the time was that the Trump tariffs, like he also had to subsidize a shit ton. I can't remember how many billions of dollars of farmers at the time that he was imposing these tariffs on China. And there were reports saying that it was the equivalent of one of the largest tax increases in, American history and stuff like that. So, because of the imposition on American consumers. So no, I'm not aware of that either. Now,
and then what is this claim that she made about this Biden 2,000 a day border thing?
So I don't know the particulars of the EO, but President Biden instituted these executive orders back like 3 or 4 months ago, and I think maybe longer than that. And border crossings have dropped precipitously, I think by 50% within the past like 3 months. I don't know what the exact figure is, but even if she's right on the 2,000 that he just arbitrarily by executive order, shut off asylum, there's a reason
there's no way that the president has the authority to do that.
Right.
So that's why I want to see what they're talking about here. What this is even. Yeah.
Right. That's precisely the point. It's entirely possible that Biden's executive orders are illegal. Like, that's the whole point. This was a break glass in case of emergency thing. That's why Biden wanted, federal statutory law by way of Congress to deal with the border, because if he just imposed it, everyone said impose executive order. Okay, well, Trump did that. Trump did that repeatedly throughout his presidency, and it got struck down very often, including his southern border related executive orders by even conservative judges. That's why there were 2 government shutdowns on Trump's watch. And both of them, in part, were related to border legislation, because his executive orders kept getting struck down, and so he wanted to beef it up with congressional law. Because this, executive orders have the full force of law, but they are by far the least legally tenable. Like, a judge is much more likely to strike down a federal or a presidential executive order than federal law. So even if she's right on the numbers, it's entirely possible that Biden is violating the law in so doing, and there are legal challenges right now to those EOs. So it didn't even really address the point. It's like, Biden may have took legally dubious action to cut border crossings. But even to your point, you were like, well, the Border Patrol Union, wanted, they endorsed this bipartisan legislation.
Yeah, but what was the person on the Twitter space last time? And they were like, well, the Border Patrol Union doesn't even know what it means.
Right.
Yesterday, yeah.
Which didn't make any sense, because obviously they would look for any reason to shit talk this, right? Especially because it's Biden backed bipartisan legislation. They would do anything in their power to shit talk it. It just, the conversation was all over the place. The thing I was hoping, somebody in chat said she answered this. I don't think she did. I didn't hear it. I don't recall her saying if she thinks Trump won or lost the election, number one, and number two, what sort of evidence. Like, what credible reason would Trump have to believe that he won the election? And then number three, if you think Trump lost the election and that there's no real evidence Trump had to believe the election was stolen, why would you vote for him?
This was the thing that I also wanted to do too. And I hate to be like a one-trick pony for the J6 stuff. I mean, we could do anything if they wanted to. Like, we could go to any other topic. J6 happens to be the one I know the most about. We could go to another one if they wanted to. But it's like, we can sit on this issue, okay? You're telling me, because what she was basically saying was, Trump thought that he lost the election, and I genuinely believe that he thought that, and then she didn't want to own this part. She was saying, basically, therefore, he had a right to try to steal the election on J6?
Right.
Like, is that really what we, like, that's insane. You know that's
right.
Insane, right? That's insane.
If I genuinely believe that I should have the right to murder somebody, you would never give me permission to violate the law to murder somebody regardless. Like, your personal beliefs are immaterial.
Yeah, or if you make those excuses, I pointed this out yesterday. I don't know if I was talking to you while I was doing it. If you make those excuses, you can't simultaneously justify the action and say it didn't happen at the same time. Like,
right.
and conservatives do this. They will justify a revolution. They'll justify an insurrection, but then they'll say it wasn't an insurrection. They'll say they tried to steal the election. There was decent evidence of a lot of voter fraud. He really did think the election was stolen. And then it's like, okay, so then he did try to, well, no, he didn't try to do any of that. Of course not. Wait, but you just said he legitimately thought it was all like, yeah, they justify it and then say it didn't happen. Yeah.
Right, because they don't want to be pinned down on a particular position. And the other thing, there's a question that I think I sent it to you. There's a question that you usually ask conservatives, I think would have been really apropos here. And now I'm blanking on it. I was spamming it in chat. But yeah, I'm familiar with her because she was on Bill Maher like about a year ago or something like that. And I was like, man, she is awfully Trump apologetic. That was my first familiarity with her. So I was stunned when she was like, oh, I'm a leftist.
Yeah, but I knew that was bullshit. That's why I immediately asked her. I was like, oh, wait, hold on. So you're going to support Kamala Harris, right? She's like, I'm undecided. It's like, okay, you're voting for Trump 100%.
And now I'm curious. I'm curious what her Twitter page looks like in reference to, because you can look up Trump and it's just one Trump apologetic after another. I'm curious what she has to say on the vice president. I imagine it's very critical. Maybe I'm wrong. But
he picked Pence because Pence was a conservative, but he picked Vance because what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Hey, Steven.
Or what's up?
Hey. So I just stumbled upon this debate you were having. I didn't know you were having one. But then I saw that woman, and I was talking with someone. We were in BC watching this.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't have picked out her name if you had asked me to beforehand, but I had seen her before, and like my immediately thought was like, oh, isn't she like MAGA? Right? Like this is my impression of her from what I had seen previously, but it was just a big impression. So I had like looked her up while you guys were having a debate and realized she was a liberal writer. But I was also shocked at the end when she said that she was a leftist. I think that's part of the reason is that language is kind of loose. Like, what exactly is a leftist? But like, I didn't get that feeling from your debate. I thought was the heart of it for me was the idea of who was running the country, right? I like that line that you had said, like, I feel like you're ruling the country. And I think that she took it as like a moral indictment of herself. And at least I didn't interpret it that way. Maybe you meant it that way, but I didn't interpret it that way.
That she's ruining the country?
Yeah.
It was personal. Yeah, that was a personal comment. Yes, I did intend it that way.
All right. Okay, well then excuse me. But when I the reason why I was nodding my head along with you, right, was not to personally attack her, but it was like if you can't we can't agree on these facts, right? If you can present a whole list of data, and like we can all exist in a parallel track, and we can try. We're using the same words with each other. And in the end, what you're doing is excusing awful behavior, right? You're excusing awful behavior from this individual being Trump. Then, yeah, this causes the destruction. This is actually dangerous. If we can't agree, we're talking about a leader of the nation. We can't understand, hey, this person did this destructive thing. Or even agree that maybe this person did something beneficial to the country. Like when I see us fraying, I see us fraying because we literally can't communicate.
Yeah, I agree. It's bad. Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, I just felt like that was like at least for me. I know there's other parts to the debate, but that was the heart of that for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Steven, I just sent you a link. I just deafened myself just to make sure it was the correct link. Watch this real quick. It's about 1 minute and 30 seconds.
I don't know if I can. I'm sorry. I clicked it real quick and I just read the first sentence and I had to close it immediately. Am I going to get triggered reading or listening to this?
Yeah, I was hoping you would be able to catch this before the conversation ended, but you should listen to it. Listen to it. Do it. Do it.
You know what the fuck? You know what the easy ask for her is? Who do you think there were more assassination attempts on? Hamas leadership from Israel or Israeli leadership from Hamas? I mean, it's such a stupid.
Right. Well, I mean, again, like, and here's the frustrating thing: we don't know how many assassination attempts there have been against Vice President Harris or President Biden because the Secret Service doesn't always disclose it. We do know, and there's shit that we forgotten about. There was a Trump supporter, I think it was last year, who was actually shot to death by Secret Service when they went to investigate threats he made against President Biden, and it resulted in a shootout where they killed him. You had Trump retruth Obama's address last year as well, and a Trump fan parked his van outside of Obama's D.C. address and was going to live stream murdering President Obama and was arrested by, I think it was Secret Service. Like, there are all kinds of unhinged shit that we can tie directly to Trump, to say nothing of the fact that we don't know how many attempts have been made against Biden and Harris. But please watch this. It's just
there was people forget this, okay? There was a guy that mailed out like 16 bombs to people that he thought were enemies of Donald Trump. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Because it's been mind wiped. It was at the end of Trump's presidency. This has been like mind wiped from the American public. Like, nobody remembers any of these things. I don't understand how they can get away with this. And like nobody, just as a real quick thing, I'm sorry. Cesar Sayak, who mailed pipe bombs to Trump critics, is sentenced to 20 years in prison. He sent the bombs to prominent Democrats, setting off a frenzied investigation that unnerved the country before last year's midterm elections. This is in 2019, okay?
Right.
Fervent supporter of President Trump, who rattled the nation last fall when he sent homemade pipe bombs to former President Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and other prominent Democrats, was sentenced on Monday to 20 years in prison. He pled guilty in March to mailing 16 pipe bombs to people he considered to be Mr. Trump's enemies. The FBI said the devices were packed with powder from fireworks, fertilizer, a pool chemical, and glass fragments that would function as shrapnel, but they would not have worked as designed. In the end, the flaws in the bomb's designs were critical to a federal judge's decision to give Mr. Sayak 20 years in prison rather than the life sentence prosecutors requested. Like, nobody cares. Like, none of this matters, right? Like,
no, and
do you think that she would respond with like, "Hey, there were two assassination attempts, and the second one was from a more left-leaning individual"?
Was he?
The guy in question, he was pro-Ukraine, right? So he was pro-Ukraine, which I guess implies that he's more on the left. He used to be a Trump voter, or he said he was a Trump supporter in 2016. He had residence in Hawaii and North Carolina, and in the Democratic primary in 2024, he did vote in the Democratic primary. So he has a mixed record. But he's obviously anti-Trump now, but he says he used to be a Trump supporter then. But yeah, but again, the problem is, let's just, Steven's gonna hate this, but again, just for the sake of argument, let's just grant the premise that guy was a lefty. It doesn't. If you stack up all of the acts of political violence conducted by quote unquote lefties against prominent Republicans and vice versa, it's still probably a 3-to-1 ratio of Trump supporters making terroristic threats or assassination attempts against Democrats compared to the opposite. But they don't care. There's always an asymmetry. It takes basically like 10 conservatives going after Democrats to equal 1 Democrat going after a conservative. And it's just an untenable ratio.
I 100% agree, right? But like, and I don't want to speak for this Zabacha individual.
Yeah.
But like for
she's a leftist.
Others,
she's a leftist, Prime. Just
she's
want
a
you
leftist.
to know that. Yeah, she's a leftist.
She's one of mine. So I 100% agree with what you just said, right? But on the other side of it, like, what are you consuming in terms of media, right? Like, the media on the other side says that both of these assassinations were done by left-leaning individuals, right? And then this gets replayed in a way that, just like Destiny just pointed out, the Caesar guy, right? That he was like in a van that was plastered with like Trump slogans, right? That doesn't get replayed in the same way, right? That he was in the news for a bit, but he disappears. And so like, even if you're not like necessarily a Trump supporter, but if you just like take all these things into osmosis, right? I think a normie might come to the conclusion, yeah, you see that on both sides, right? And they'll say, hey, the rhetoric on the Democratic side is just as divisive, right? And so we have to lower the temperature all across. It evens out for them in a way that like is unfair in the way I think you're describing.
Yeah, but she doesn't even go that far. She says in that clip, which Steven, please watch the clip. It's going to be wildly entertaining for you and for everybody. Your audience is going to love it to see you react in real time. You want to go ahead and do it now?
Sure.
We'll wait.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really want somebody to explain this to me. If this is a problem that is shared by both sides, how come only one person is getting shot at repeatedly? About a third of Democrats admit to pollsters that they wish that the assassination attempts had succeeded. The bloodlust on the side that casts itself as the victims of stochastic terrorism again and again and again. And at least the first time around, they pretended that they were upset that somebody tried to kill Trump. But this time around, they just skipped over that step. I don't know if you noticed that. But the entire Democratic elite as a class went straight to blaming Trump's rhetoric for almost getting himself killed. It is astonishing. And what is going on there is victimhood in Democratic culture is currency. And so you can never...
Victimhood is currency. Remember, Donald Trump is hunted by the deep state. Donald Trump is hunted by the Republicans. Donald Trump is backstabbed by everybody close to him because they all care about the bureaucracy. All the companies are against Donald Trump. All the countries are against Donald Trump. All of the politicians are against Donald Trump. All of the state governors are against Donald Trump. All of the parties in all the states are against Donald Trump. All of the voting process are against Donald Trump. But the Democrats are the victims, by the way.
Allow your opponent or your enemy to be acknowledged as a victim because that is to suggest that they have moral authority. That's how their brains work. And so they sit there enraged that Trump is actually the victim of these, almost victim of these horrific crimes. They literally have like victim envy of the fact that their insane followers keep trying to kill him. It is so appalling.
Maybe she's just a Russian paid person.
Well, it's funny. I'm curious if she knew about some of the spicy things you said after the first attempt on Trump, given that she said this. She was being very, she was trying to ingratiate herself with you, obviously.
I didn't even know she had any idea who I was at all, so I was kind of surprised when Yeah.
Well, you are Biden's strongest soldier. I mean,
Well,
but
Israel's
it is
strongest
funny.
soldier for her, but yeah.
Yeah, and maybe what she believes is like a close alliance on that particular issue will soften your edges for Trump in her eyes. But I don't know. The other thing, two other things that she said that I think you should really contemplate. Number one, didn't she say she admires Marjorie Taylor Greene? I was actually surprised to hear that.
Crazy. That shit was crazy.
How? Really? And she's like, well, she used to be QAnon. And then and then people do this talking point too, where they're like, well, didn't some of the stuff end up being true? You know that, actually, hold on, I'm sorry. I'm trying to remember because all the things swirl together in my mind. Was Epstein even part of the QAnon stuff? Do you know?
No.
Because I thought that Epstein came way later. I thought the QAnon stuff was just Podesta, child porn, Hillary Clinton, satanic sex rituals, and the pizza. I don't think Epstein was even part of the original fucking QAnon shit. That was like Hillary Clinton stuff.
But it got absorbed into it. Like, it perfectly matched the things they were saying, though. That's the thing, you know, right? So, like, once it comes along, then it becomes
just like the P. Diddy stuff, and
else.
everything matches everything, and everything is evidence for everything, and I guess.
Yeah, that was legitimately stunning. Like, again, I had a pretty low opinion of her prior to that, but I didn't know that she admired Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene, again, that's the other thing. Just have this in your back pocket. She's the ultimate Trump card when it comes to rhetoric. You don't even have to cite Trump yourself. If they're like, oh, give me a non-Trump example. Not that you have to. Marjorie Taylor Greene has repeatedly, publicly, explicitly, in text and on camera, referred to the Democratic Party as an evil party of warmongers and pedophiles. Right? AOC has never said that sort of shit about the Republican Party.
Yeah, but then the fact that she equates, like, Biden's misspeak of, like, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. She's like, that's the same thing as Trump saying a Mexican federal judge should recuse himself from my case. I'm sorry, I keep saying Mexican judge. It's not true. It's an American federal judge should recuse himself from my case because his parents are from Mexico. Like,
well, and remind me, so I think, if you guys correct me if I'm wrong, I remember Biden caught a lot of flack for that, but I'm trying to remember the context. Wasn't he trying to say basically not that, how do I want to say
he was
this?
trying to
Basically
say, like, if you don't vote for me, you're not supporting the black community, basically. He was trying to say that he was better for the black community. That's basically what he said.
I thought he was saying that he had such strong support among the black community that anyone who had doubts about him were probably white people.
Sure,
like,
or that might be true, yeah. But he wasn't literally saying you're going to turn white, or if you don't vote for me, you're like a fucking race traitor or whatever, right? He's
right,
saying,
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing that the mens rea part of the discussion I thought was really interesting, and that, like, we can't, like, you were trying to put her down on this to say, obviously, we don't need people to confess to understand they're lying. One, the thing that something that you didn't bring up, but happened like a few weeks ago, is that Donald Trump on stage literally said, "We lost the last election by a hair." Right?
No, it's never, ever. It's never worth bringing that stuff up, because they'll always say, well, when he says they lost, he mean they lost because of vote rigging. It's never worth bringing that stuff up. I know what you're saying, but
no. Yeah, I understand.
But they'll always say that when he says they lost by a hair, they lost because it was rigged. That's what they'll always go back to. So it's not,
Yeah. But this idea that we can't, that simply because he keeps repeating the lie, we have to believe that he believes the lie, even though there's quotes among his aides. I think in the new book War, I believe in the new book War, there's quotes from his aides saying that we told him at the time, right, that you lost the election, and that he had every piece of information to say that he lost the election, but that he might, in his mind, have thought that he won the election. Like, that's just like, if that's the standard, then we can't be sure to convict anyone of anything.
Yeah, I know, it's always
right?
Well, but except on the other side, we can instantaneously know when Biden is doing something wrong, or when Hillary Clinton is doing something wrong, or when,
yeah.
Oh, and then when she was like, I don't think that any of the DNC hacks affected the election at all. I don't think the laptop story affected the election at all. People are just these perfect policy machines. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So a couple of things about that. Yeah, the false equivalence she was trying to draw there, which you did a good job of pushing back on. Number one, Hillary first called Donald Trump privately, as candidates often do, and privately conceded to him. Then she went out, conducted a press conference, attended by hundreds of people in person, went on live TV. She formally, publicly conceded, number two. Number three, she showed up at the motherfucker's inauguration, right, which is another major step in respecting the peaceful transfer of power. She didn't try to sue her way into the White, because that's the other thing too. I mean, this whole, well, avail yourself of your legal options. That goes both ways. Does that mean you support? Should Hillary Clinton have tried to sue her way into the White House the way Trump tried to? She didn't conspire with Vice President Biden or then President Obama to overturn the results of the election, or have Biden just unilaterally toss the votes out. Yes, some Democrats in Congress did try to object to Trump's win, but there weren't any formal objections, because in order to have a formal objection, you got to get members of both.
And the ECA, you need
chambers,
one member of the House and one member of the Senate. Yeah,
precisely. And they couldn't get it. Mm-hmm. And Biden even went viral at the time because he told them to cut it out. He's like, it's over. It's done. So just a wild asymmetry there. Now, it's true in 2018, to your point, years later, she called Trump an illegitimate president. And I'm sorry, you can say that language is irresponsible, but I just think it's eminently more defensible. What she was trying to get at is he doesn't have a popular mandate from the people. He won by way of the Electoral College, and foreign adversaries were pulling for him to win. Even if you take issue with the rhetoric, she only said it a few times.
And even if you take issue with the rhetoric, there wasn't all the criminal fucking processes tied along with it.
Right. No, 100%.
I really want her to give us examples of the DOJ being weaponized by Biden.
We didn't even get to that, but it was just going to be that all the prosecutions are political, and then it's just going to be all the dumb talking points relating to that.
And then you'll talk about the New Jersey Senator, was it Mendez, being prosecuted.
Menendez, Henry Cuellar, Democrat in Congress, Hunter Biden. Again, the Hunter Biden thing really is amazing. I just keep going back to
I hate Pisco every day. He sucks off fucking Merrick Shitland. I'm glad he lost his Supreme Court pick. We needed an independent counsel for the Biden document. I'm glad that he appointed a special counsel. Unbelievable. And that Merrick and you know what? Where's fucking the Biden leaks? Where Biden was also roasting Garland for waiting for dragging his face so long? Yeah, fucking A. Hell yeah. Fuck that. There was no need to be that. But Merrick Garland was falling into the same trap that the liberal media falls into, is this obsession with trying to appear as unbiased. And now, what do all the conservatives that we debate say? Well, the reason why Merrick Garland waited so long was so that it would be timed more nicely with the election year. Right. He just waited for him to say that he was going to run for election again, right? So if you try to investigate too soon, you're obviously being political because he was just in office. If you wait a while, you're just waiting for him to run for office again. Just do your job.
No, 100%. So my criticism of Garland is I think he has a judicial temperament, and legal scholars will tell you obviously in terms of roles there's a difference between a prosecutor and a judge, and a prosecutor is an adversary by nature. Their goal is to pursue you, to prosecute you, to get you convicted. They're not supposed to be quote unquote even tempered. That's the judge's job, right? And so Garland was a prosecutor, successful prosecutor for years, but then he was a federal judge. And part of his appeal when Obama nominated him to the Supreme Court was the fact that he was such an even-tempered centrist judge. He thought that even McConnell would be willing to accept him as a replacement for Scalia. Obviously, that turned out not to be true because McConnell's mission in life was to, fuck over Obama. But yeah, I think it was a colossal mistake to make Merrick Garland the Attorney General. I don't think the guy is stupid. I think he's very smart. I think he, in probably a different time, he would be a great Attorney General. Because, by the way, they still have an enormous success rate under Merrick Garland, but he is so goddamn slow. But he's also so goddamn slow in a particular direction. To your point, Stephen, it wasn't just that he appointed a special counsel to investigate President Biden. He appointed one immediately. It took a year. They were playing footsie with Trump for more than a year over the classified documents. He took forever to bring charges for January 6th. There was credible reporting from the Washington Post, and I think others. I think the New York Times has done a more recent version as well, involving DOJ officials, where they're like, "Yeah, Garland's concern is he doesn't want the DOJ to be seen as weaponized." Now, to your point, it doesn't matter. The polls on that have not changed. Republicans still think the DOJ is weaponized. So Merrick Garland accomplished absolutely nothing. That is, I might actually kill Pisco in a video game when I see him. Hold on. Just so that I have all my names straight, because I didn't read these reports. The special counsel that Merrick Garland appointed for Biden was it was John Robert Hur.
Oh, it was her. Okay.
Well, so Hunter Biden was David Weiss.
Yes.
And
wait,
John
the her is that report that Pisco's obsessed with, right?
Yeah.
Hold on. Because I haven't read this in the Mueller investigation. Okay. when all the information from that was published, were there any facts about that published about Donald Trump's behavior or any deposition with Trump or anything having to do with like anything that Trump himself said?
Well, Trump wouldn't sit down for deposition. He only answer questions, I think, like written statements. I can't remember if written statements were included in the file. I wouldn't be surprised if there were, but no, there was nothing like the characterization that hurt, like the editorializing.
Because you notice that like these special counsels where there's not even charges filed end up destroying, right, a lot of these Democratic, right? Because you know what? Because it happened with Hillary Clinton as well, right?
Right.
There were no charges, and the FBI and Comey came out, and they said a whole bunch of crazy shit.
Right. Well, yeah, that was what pissed off so many, not just Democrats, but also legal scholars like Andrew Weissman and
I wonder if Pisco's going to defend it. He will. I wonder if Pisco would defend her publishing publicly that report. I wonder if he would defend it. And also, wait, hold on. Someone said because of an OLC memo, Mueller did not look at Donald Trump directly. That's my understanding, because I thought there was a whole thing about like President Trump being charged with a crime, so if they couldn't climb up or whatever, go ahead, go.
Well, kind of. So the OLC memo from, I think it was the Nixon administration, says you can't indict a sitting president. Mm-hmm. That's why Mueller declined to bring charges. But he also found credible evidence that Trump, credibly obstructed justice. The only reason he didn't bring that charge was because of the OLC memo. But I am 78% sure. And again, someone in DGG can fact check me because I'm not in a position to, that Mueller did send questions off to Trump, and Trump gave a few written responses. Because, I mean, President Biden's a sitting president, too, and he was also questioned by Robert Hur, but I think it was also voluntary, so maybe.
Could you imagine if Hillary had a single person in her camp like Roger fucking Stone? Yeah. One person like that?
Yeah.
No, you're lying. You're wrong. You couldn't imagine it. You don't even know how unbelievably destroyed the Conservative Party would make this country. You can't. You're lying. You can't imagine it. None of us can imagine the destruction. Can you imagine if Biden or anybody on the Democratic side would have tried to hamper with any of the investigations? Hold on. Wait. My timelines. I'm sorry. COVID just wiped my mind and everything. The Hillary Clinton ran against Donald Trump in 2016.
Correct.
So the Comey investigation and all of that happened under Obama. So can you imagine if Obama had called Comey into his office and tried to give him fucking orders like Donald Trump did? Or if
Texas would be seceding from the union.
Or if Obama was tweeting out to his attorney general saying, "Why the fuck did you recuse yourself from this fucking case?" like Donald Trump did to Jeff Sessions?
Right.
Bro, I can't. It's not tenable. You can't. This is not a world you can live in, right?
No.
But part of the problem is that Democrats are comfortable playing by those rules. So, hello, Jessiah. I've never met you, but nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, buddy.
You had an interesting perspective calling Merrick Garland judicious, right? I hadn't heard it put in that way, right? So I had a good judicious mindset. But I would have said it, I'd say differently, that this mindset is very liberal. It's very Obama era, right? It's, hey, we got to be bipartisan, and I don't like it when Fox News yells at me. And so,
bipartisan, when he says judicial mindset, just to be clear, a lot of people view court and all of that as kind of like the same machine, like the judge, the prosecutor, the cops are all kind of the same thing. A judge is supposed to be bipartisan. He's supposed to have the temperament such that you present me the facts, show me what it is, and I will rule in accordance with the law. Whereas a prosecutor is supposed to go out and kind of get shit done. Like, I'm going to prove this fucking case. Okay, we're going to do this shit. And to say that Merrick Garland, I don't necessarily think, I understand what you're saying in terms of like liberals are trying to play by the rules more, but I think it's just more that Garland is a tad too passive, I guess, except when it comes to appointing a special counsel to go after the goddamn documents that were found in Biden's garage and then reported on their own accord to the what the fuck is the point? Why did we even appoint a special counsel for Biden if they can't even charge him with a crime? I thought we couldn't charge sitting presidents with a crime. What the fuck was even the point? Sorry.
Democrats will appoint a Republican special counsel. Democrats will say, hey, I want a Republican within my cabinet. Republicans won't say anything like that. right?
True.
Like there's an imbalance in the perspective.
Fuck, Donald Trump doesn't even like most Republicans.
I mean, well,
yeah, it's insane. Yeah, that's only sycophants. Sycophants only.
Yeah, that's one thing. When to Prime's point here, I think it's important. That's one thing I ranted at Pisco a couple of weeks ago during one of his live chats. That one of the things that excites me potentially, I don't know if she'll go through with this, but if she wins, one of the things I'm excited about the most is it seems unlikely that Merrick Garland will remain Attorney General, and I think that a future Attorney General needs to like really revamp the DOJ, like some of these norms, like this idea, that's a big one, that only Republicans can investigate Republicans and Democrats. Yeah. Democrats can't investigate shit. No, fuck you. As a matter of fact, as far as I'm concerned, I would make it like Republicans, you're not investigating shit for a couple of election cycles. Democrats will investigate Democrats and Democrats will investigate Republicans. And if you don't like it, go fuck yourself.
Even when they get offered the ability to investigate, they won't fucking do it. Like when McCarthy and all the rest of the 2-inch cock Republicans in the House are like, oh, you want to be in the J6 committee because you don't want a guy who's literally being accused of crimes to be a part of the fucking investigation. It's actually unhinged. Or when Donald Trump, when there were Democrats involved in the 2016 and the bipartisan voter fraud investigation, except the Republicans were holding onto all of the information that they had, and when the Democrats had to fucking sue in court, who were part of that committee, to get access to the information, then Donald Trump disbands it so they don't have to turn any of it over. That's insane. It's unhinged. Yep. It's unbelievable. Yeah. It's unreal, dude. Okay, sorry, I'm good. I'm back.
No, I think this stuff's important because like right now the presidential election's effectively a coin flip. Republicans are favored to win the Senate, and this is the scary thing. Like Lindsey Graham went on Hannity the other day, and he was having like one of his Lindsey Graham meltdowns where he's all glassy-eyed and his voice is quivering. And he's like, we're getting outspent 3 to 4 to 5 to 1 in some states. He's like, what we need is a Republican Senate. He said he said the quiet part out loud. He's like, if we get a Republican Senate, we could have a conservative supermajority for generations to come with 2 or perhaps even 3 Supreme Court justices. So they're banking on Alito and Thomas retiring, which of course they will, and like Sotomayor tipping over because she's a diabetic who has to walk around with a medic at all times. She's like 70 years old.
And she's being selfish, yeah. 100%.
Yeah, so like think about that. That's a really scary thing. People need to take this election so fucking seriously because Donald Trump may walk away at the end of his second term having appointed 6 Supreme Court justices. That is not just a MAGA supermajority, or excuse me, a conservative supermajority. That's a MAGA supermajority.
The only thing I will say that would be good about 6 Supreme Court justices is probably the best chance we have of repealing the 19th Amendment, and women just need to not be involved in politics at all. We're going to lose 2 Supreme Court justice women because of that. It was a mistake in the first place.
You mean wait, I'm so sorry. Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Sotomayor? Okay. So what's up, Prime? I don't think you and I have ever interacted before. You host debates, right?
Indeed, I do.
Sure. Excited about this election? Terrified?
I was quiet at that moment because Stephen and I have very different views on the election. But it's something.
Wait, you're not voting for Trump, are you?
I'm absolutely not voting for Trump. No way. No fucking way.
Okay, good.
But I have, and maybe I'll get a chance to talk to Stephen about this later on. I think there are reasons why this election is so close. It shouldn't be. It absolutely shouldn't be. It should be a blowout. But I think a lot of that falls on Kamala. Am I saying that right? No, Kamala.
Kamala.
Yeah. I really don't mean to say it wrong, but whatever. Yeah, Kamala. But that should be a conversation for another day.
Also, just in case anybody cared, somebody linked me on page 99 of this YouGov poll that apparently this is what she was referring to. And I think the poll question was, unless there's something else in here that I'm missing, the poll question was, how concerned are you about improper relations between the Trump campaign and Russia?
Yeah. Well, wait. What's the next one down? Because I thought it said something about Trump. And what's on page 100?
The next one down is, 43C. Oh, maybe there's something different. Hold on.
Yeah.
Page 96. Oh, did Russia tamper with vote tallies in order? Oh, okay, never mind. Somebody said 99 initially. Okay, this is one. So Democrats ID'd as 66% here. That's not good. If they
okay, no, it's not good. But see, here's the thing. They're, again, false equivalents. Here's the problem. Your issue is not – it is obviously that a large percentage of Americans believe something that's not true. Obviously, you take issue with that, including that the idea that Russia tampered with vote tallies. You should have an issue with that. But here, again, there's another false equivalence. Hillary Clinton wasn't out there trying to get people to believe that.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's not remotely the same. Yeah.
Right. And so even that's where I was like spamming in chat. Even if what she's saying is true, then she's not flagrantly lying. It's still a false equivalence, right? You would and could easily condemn this, like, fuck, this is not true. There's no evidence that Russia tampered with the voting machines. But it's reduced by the fact that there's also, to your point, Trump engaged in public activities, which would lead a rational person to believe that Russia was meddling in the election on his behalf. So I don't know. To me, she was like very disingenuous with a lot of her whataboutisms.
Yeah. That's why I usually have to press people when they're talking about. Also, yeah, this is 2018. I wonder if people poll about this now, what they think. It's also the fuck, I don't remember what I was going to say. The false equivalency. When I press people to say, like, who are the leaders that are saying stuff like this? Give me the leaders, because I'm giving you statements by like Trump or Marjorie Taylor Greene or whatever, and you're giving me
Yeah, you're getting me like somebody random on Twitter.
There's also like a significant difference in terms. Like, one of the things that I don't like as well is that people won't talk about how. Hold on. I'm trying not to get one guide by this fucking retard in chat. I'm not getting one guide. People won't even make like concessions that I think are easy concessions to make, that are like reasonable, easy concessions, where it's like, hey, like it was like pulling teeth from her, but say, do you think that Russia probably tries to like meddle in our election things?
Yeah, but so do we.
Yeah, we do. And then they point to like in the 60s, we used to do coups in countries. Like, okay, I was going to ask her this, but there was no point because I already know her answer 1 trillion%. I was going to ask her if she thought that Euromaidan was a coup that the U.S. backed. That I know she does 1 trillion%. That's so obvious. Yeah.
So you are going to Vegas, by the way? Like, personally?
Yeah. You keep saying that.
No, I asked you, and you said I didn't know. I asked you this morning.
I'm going to Nevada, okay?
Oh, I thought you said Vegas. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Is it in Vegas?
The only part of Nevada that matters.
Do you know if it's in Vegas?
Fuck no, I don't know. Maybe I'm conflating the two. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like...
The event. Well, look at the poll that I linked in. Look at the thing I linked in chat. Guys, here you go. Hey, Thiologist, thank you for the 25 gifted subs on Kick. Guys, donate and sign up. Sign up and donate so we can cover hotel rooms. Here you go. Or I say we, PV actually, but there you go. Boom, boom, boom. Okay? Boom, boom, boom. Sign up. I'll be there.
It says Vegas, asshole. So I was right. You tried to gaslight me is what you did.
No, that's because they use Sony Vegas to edit the link, but it's in a different city.
By the way, do you know my TV's not working now because of you?
What'd you do?
Oh, fuck you. No, it's working fine. I was just busting your balls. Because
no, listen, everybody needs to turn that setting off, okay? It drives me crazy. Fuck you, okay? Guys, every single TV has this frame interpolation shit on. It'll be called like Samsung True Vision or True Motion or what motion smoothing or whatever. Turn that shit off. It looks horrible. I don't know why everybody is... Don't. Just turn it off. Don't worry, I fixed Jessiah's TV. We turned it off there. Okay, we got it. We got him. We brought him back.
Everybody's celebrating it. Honestly, it's become the community TV. Everyone wants to see it. This non-interpolated
everybody. They're like,
TV.
wow, your TV's the only one. Yeah.
The only one, because apparently it's like a default factory setting. I don't even know if the fuck interpolation. I don't even know what you saw. I have no idea what it was. So
I can see. It's just you can see it immediately. Trust me, I have the eyes for it. Okay.
Are you sure it's not the Vyvanse talking?
No, it's if you know what to look for, it's immediately obvious when things are being interpolated. It's got an eerie, unreal quality to it.
Uncanny Valley sort of thing. Okay. Well, listen. I enjoyed that conversation, as chaotic as it was. I wish it had been more linear. You should definitely talk to her again, especially after you brush up more on her leftist bona fides. She's Trump curious and thinks that only the left engages in stochastic terrorism and incendiary rhetoric. And she's a really big fan of Trump's policies. She's one of those leftists. leftist for Marjorie Taylor Greene, but you should definitely talk to her again.
It's not like the people we spoke to on the spaces were any better.
No, that's what I'm saying. No, I'm like not being facetious.
No, I know.
Again.
It's just Jesus.
I mean, like I said, she's a Bill Maher guest. Like that would be, another potential. Have you had any sort of dialogue with him?
No, although I just had a thing with Shane, somebody, the founder of Vice, and some media company that apparently Bill Maher just founded. So maybe another event will come out of that. Who knows? We'll see. I'm still waiting for Michael Knowles to post our talk.
Yeah, so are the rest of us. And do you have any regrets about that one? Because that was pre.
I mean, it'd be really nice. It's a really nice, wholesome, like a big come together talk. It's a really cute because we're just like I asked him a question about like his family and how lucky he is. Because hey man, Ben Shapiro sounds like they have really awesome families, really awesome wives. They do So it's just So I'm glad they didn't release it. Fuck them. We're both like drunk, like chatting because we're playing like a drinking game. So yeah, it's a cute talk. But all right,
buddy. Well. Prime, nice to meet you. Steven, I'll talk to you later. And you guys have a good night.
I love you. Be careful. Bye.
Love you too, buddy. Bye.
All right, so are you going to continue?
Yeah, what's up?
All right, I was going to do this later on, but I'm just kind of curious on your thoughts of the state of the race and why it's so close.
Why is the race so close? I think that once you've been bought into a certain media apparatus, you're just kind of like trapped there.
Sorry, I don't could you explain? I don't understand.
But I think that people on the right are trapped in a certain media apparatus and they're just like stuck there. They're not going to vote left ever. They're going to be crazy. There's nothing you can do except for like their communities changing slowly over time. But that's why they're all like super Trump sycophants.
Well, so I look at this differently. So Kamala enters the race and her numbers are big, right? Part of that's just going to be like the new politician smell, right? Of course. And she maintained those numbers for quite a bit. And then there's this sharp fall. So it seems like Donald Trump has gained support, right? Or at the very least, Kamala has lost support, and then that support hasn't found a home. So that's a possibility as well, right? So I don't know if much has changed on Trump's side. I'm not sure if Trump has done anything to increase his lead, rather than Kamala has decreased her lead. Do you disagree?
I don't know if she's decreased her lead. I feel like it's been like really tight the entire time. I think
initially the polls were differently, right? They were different. They weren't.
I don't think. Wait, do you think they've changed significantly at any point?
Yeah, there has been a decrease. She was ahead a few points previously, and now, from what I've heard recently, that she is tied. From what I've seen.
Yeah, I thought she was like behind by a few points, and then she was like ahead by a few points, and now she's like tied by a few points. Like I feel like it's just been like around this like kind of margin of error-ish.
It was outside of the margin of error at some point. And maybe we should do this later. Because I came in here spur of the moment. But actually looking at the polls. But let me just give you my interpretation. Right. Okay. It's simply that Kamala had, when she initially came to the race, most people didn't even know her, right? Because people don't know who the vice president is, right? So not people who watch your channel, of course. So I think a lot of people didn't know her, and they just simply warmed up. They found out that she exists, and they warmed up to her. They're excited, right? And they had a feeling about Joe Biden, that they may have liked his policies overall. And I'm talking more Democrats here. They may have liked his policies overall, but after that debate, it was disastrous, and the media narrative made it impossible for him to continue. So you have this fresh young face who is not that, right? But is tied to his legacy. So she gets a huge boost. And then she, makes smart moves, like I think getting Walls. I think that was a fantastic move on her part. And also the rhetoric that they immediately adopted of like Republicans being weird. Right? I think that was brilliant. Simple, but brilliant. Something that the average person can easily like integrate to their thought processes, right? Like when observing Republicans, like this is like one of those moments like a comedian, the audience of a comedian has, right? It's like he is saying what I've been thinking, right? And he's making me laugh doing it. So when
I could be wrong, but I don't know if like the weird stuff or any of this that we see like exploding on Twitter time, I'm not actually sure if any of this even is affecting like the polling that much. Like I said, I brought up the New York Times and I'm looking at like the aggregate polling and stuff, and it looks like it's always been pretty close. Like Harris has gone from 45% initially, at the highest it looks like 50%, and then right now she's at 49%, and then Trump has gone from 48% to 48% now. It just seems like it's always been like very, very, very fucking close. I know that like on Twitter and stuff, and there have been certain polls that like show outlier things, but I feel like it's like always been pretty close, I think.
So do you think then, all right, let me ask you this way. Do you think that her policies that she has been pushing have impacted the race at all? Right, that she like puts forth?
Not too much. I don't think Americans give a fuck about policies right now. I don't think Americans care. So
okay, yeah. So you don't think that policies have had almost any impact, right? So like even when people say that she is a person who doesn't have policies, right? Like I just want to see more details from her. Like how do you interpret that?
They're lying, or they don't know what they're saying. They're just like speaking emotionally, and it just sounds good to say that. Just like when they say I like Trump for his policies, and I ask them what policies, and they literally don't have a single thing to say. They're just it's all vibes, and it's words that they think that you want to hear.
Yeah. So I tend to agree with you here, but I feel there's something affecting the race, right? I think that
poly-market shit is completely unreliable, guys. Don't worry about any of the crazy weird poly-market shit. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. I think people like, and for these races, they get a feeling for things, right? And they make their decision like through osmosis of several like different signals you get, right? One signal, which is more internal, I guess, is like the economy, right? And the economy is one, how they're feeling at the moment and how people are feeling around them. So I think that's a signal. Another signal is like whatever media narratives are floating around at the time. And is it mostly positive or is it mostly negative? Is there anything specific, of course, to that person that touches on them intimately? Like, for instance, like abortion, right? I think that's had a huge effect on the race. I think you agreed on that one.
Yeah, abortion definitely does. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's like a conflagration of signals that people are getting, and I guess I wonder about Kamala and what she's putting out there for people to absorb. So again, I think you're right in terms of like specific policies. Like,
well, what do we wait? Boil this down to something specific. I have no idea what we're talking about right now. So,
yeah. So, well, one, I think Israel Gaza. I think that she has her feeling that she will continue on, or her not feeling, her statements that she will continue on with Biden's plan, right? Like,
yeah, but isn't Israel like immensely popular with the entire American electorate?
Is it? Is it currently?
Yes.
But my point, well, even if it is, the conflict is not, right? And we're not talking about moving the entire electorate. We're talking about margins here, right?
Which
this
margins,
race will
though?
come down. Which margins, though? Well,
like if she changed her opinion on Israel-Palestine to be softer on Palestine or harder on Israel, it would almost certainly just lose her voters, no?
It would lose her some. It would gain her others.
I think it would lose her a ton, and the only people that would gain popularity are people that don't vote.
And what matters, of course, here in our elections, unfortunately, is where she would lose them and where she would gain them.
Yeah, so she'd lose them in reliable voting-based people, and she would theoretically gain them in people that probably wouldn't vote for her anyway, and people that don't even vote statistically.
Where are those voting-based people?
Older people that vote.
If they are in... If the people who are most likely to leave, right, are, for instance, in New York and in Florida, well, she's most likely to win New York, almost certainly going to win New York, and almost certainly going to win Florida, right? Let's just to say that's the case, right? And if she were to gain in Michigan, well, which is the battleground state, well, then that's would be what matters. Like that would be a positive movement.
Michigan is one state, and it's not even. I don't even think it's as important right now as like Pennsylvania, and I don't think she would gain in Michigan. Like who is she gaining within Michigan? It's the same older people aren't going to be happy about it, and the same younger people aren't going to vote.
The same older people. Who are these older people? Well,
older people in general are much more favorable towards Israel than younger people, and they're your most likely to vote demographic.
Yeah, but I'm saying that like. Those votes, I think, are more likely to be locked in. And again, this is just my feeling, right? Because I can't predict any of this, right? I think those votes are mostly locked in. That those types of voters have been voting for decades and will show up one way or the other. The people who aren't going to show up are those younger individuals who aren't
younger people don't even vote,
but who could. Yes, hold on. But that's what I'm saying. But who could be convinced to vote?
How many?
Right?
But wait, hold on. How many Arabs even live in Michigan?
I'm not just talking about. I'm not just talking about Arabs.
Yeah,
right?
but those are the only people. Nobody, like broadly speaking, being hard on Israel is just not a popular. Regardless if you think it's good or bad, it's just not a popular policy, except for among like really young radical activists like kids who don't vote anyway. So why would you change a position right here and risk losing or alienating or turning off like part of your most important part of your electorate on an off chance of Michigan has 10 million people. How many Arabs live in Michigan? It's 211,000. Like it's not. This is like
211,000.
Why would you ever?
That's a lot.
No, it's not a lot. That's nothing. What?
Hold on. What were the margins that Biden won the last election? Yes, this is what I'm saying. This is an election that's going to be won on the margins, right?
Yeah, but do you think that more people support like defending Israel, or more people support like a unilateral ceasefire with no conditions attached?
A unilateral ceasefire with no conditions attached. I think that most people want an end to the conflict altogether.
With no conditions?
I don't think most people are even following it that closely. So no, actually, so you're saying no conditions. This is determinative of people's support, right? And to a certain extent, for some people it will be, but for most of the people, these older people, this generic older person you're presenting me me with, like I don't think it necessarily matters for them the same way, right? Like you just said, policy doesn't matter.
I just don't know why like you would try to appeal to such a niche group of voters who have already made it like well aware, like we're well known that they have no intention of voting, and nothing short of like a crazy unilateral ceasefire, unconditional, would even matter to them. Why would you try to appeal to that voter base and then turn off like one of your most ardent supporting voting bases? Well,
if there are the ardent supporter voting base that you're saying they are, I think they will actually still be with Kamala. I think.
Well, except that like you're Jewish, like you're people supporting Israel, that's just like a ubiquitous position among old people. Why would you hand that talking point to Trump? I'm the real supporter of Israel.
I think among that base, among the Democratic base, and these individuals, just like there are people who will vote for a pro-life Democrat, right? They'll still vote for him. The Democrat overall. That there'll be people who say a slightly tougher stance on Israel and a slightly tougher stance won't turn them off, right? So like it's
but a slightly tougher stance Kamala isn't going to turn out any of these people. This isn't even like a big election.
Do you know that?
Yes, you can look at the way that they speak.
Okay. So you definitely know. So you definitely know that these generic older voters will be turned off, and who've been reliable.
Well, I know, because it's super easy, because it's very obvious that like a Democratic president would be better for Palestinians than a Republican one, right? That's super obvious. So what?
It's obvious than the other. It's obvious what I've been saying too. Then, right? That,
no. What I'm saying is that it's obvious that a Democrat would be better than a Republican. So you would vote on that. And if you're not voting on that, it's because you're looking for a significantly larger concession. In which case, you turn off a ton of like. What's the data that doing this policy switch would even help her in Michigan?
What's the data that says that that she will lose Michigan if she does not a significant policy switch? Oh, sorry, excuse me. Let me
support.
Measure my words. I got to measure my words very
by
carefully here, especially with you. Hold on, I got to measure my my words with you. So it's not simply that she will do a major turn in that, like, okay, the United States will send weapons to Hamas or anything like that, right? It's like giving some sort of concession to those sides, saying, "Oh yeah, I'll follow the Leahy Act," right?
What does the Leahy Act do again? Is this like blocking trade or something?
Blocking munitions to
okay, hold on.
Countries
that just to be clear, that's like one of the most radical positions that you could advocate for. And you're saying that that's like that would be a moderate
radical position. Hold on. To follow existing American law is a radical position.
Yes. If the United States were to talk about cutting off arms from Israel, that would be a radical political position to take. Yes.
So, hold on. To follow American law as it
First
stands,
of all, as
right?
it stands right now, Israel is not written into the Leahy Act. But even if that was, it would be, yes, it would be a radical departure from current U.S. foreign policy. It would be right. It would be a radical change, right?
No, hold on. And this is why I said I had to like parse my words exactly with you, because I'm used to you. I said follow the Leahy Act, right? Just follow it. All she's saying, I'll follow the Leahy Act. I'll initiate a process in which we'll analyze Israel's human rights activities during this conflict, right? And then we'll make a decision from there. Not that what that decision will be, obviously, because she hasn't done it.
If she says anything relating to taking away our arms from Israel, that would be a radical departure of policy, right?
So, hold on. But let's not drift our language here, right? What I'm responding to, would that be a radical act, right? Now, that would be a change in policy. There'll be a change in policy that we follow the law. Absolutely, that's a change in policy because we're not following the law now. Sure.
No, we are following the law now. Israel's just not written into the law.
Is it a radical act to follow the law?
Well, it depends on what the law is, but right now Israel is not written into the Leahy Act. There are exceptions made.
I didn't say they were. I don't know why you're saying that.
Okay, well, you keep saying follow the law like they're not following the law. We are following the law right now. But it would be a radical change in foreign policy, yes, to start cutting out arms shipments, right? Wouldn't that be a radical change in policy?
So parts of the State Department.
No, wait. Hold on. I just need to be. Would it be a radical change in U.S. foreign policy? Would it be a radical change in foreign policy if we stopped supporting militarily Israel?
No. It would be a radical change. It wouldn't be a radical change to simply follow.
Would it be a radical change in American foreign policy if we stopped supporting Israel?
I've already said that it would be a change in the policy if we did do that. I've already admitted that. However, what I'm asking, what I'm putting forth is that simply stating we will follow the law, being the Leahy Act, right, is not in itself a radical proposition. Simply. Right?
Would it be a radical change in foreign policy? Would it be a radical change in forein policy for the United States to stop supporting Israel militarily?
Let's have an actual debate. I'd love to do this again with you. But like, let's actually have this lined up and do it.
Okay, but would it be a radical change in U.S. foreign policy for the United States to stop supporting Israel militarily?
Yes.
Okay.